it says, that, unless specifically accepted elsewhere, reconstructed or structure altered. I don't think a permit should be necessary for something that is exactly the same reconstructed. It has a permission under the clause of the U.S. Constitution ex post facto to exist. So if we are going to mend it and not alter it, it should not need a permit. It had a right to exist in the first place.
What does reconstructed mean?
To re-add or to re-fix or anything of the kind. If you're going to reconstruct on the same premises that it was and exactly the same.
So clean it off.
You gotta get a permit when you replace your shingles in your house. They don't.
And I think the intention is to ensure that you replace it the way that it was, and that it, sometimes, and Greg can talk to this more, the codes change, so maybe if that worked good before, now it doesn't.
It should be repeated unlimited, repair unlimited amount of times.
Well, reconstructed is different than repair, I think.
Yeah, reconstruct, I would think, is like Greg said, a roof. You tear off a roof, you put it back.
Put new sheething on, you know.
I think the intention is that you do it to today's.
So this is basically saying that a non-conforming use building.
Mm-hmm. If you're going to enlarge it, if you're going to do any kind of a change on it, yes. But if you're going to have it, repair or whatever it is, repair a limited amount of times, so it looks exactly the same to stand in there. So if you have in here extended, reconstructed, or structurally altered, I don't think that reconstructed really.
I think that there's a difference between repair and reconstructed. You know, I think, so in other words, you have one shingle come off, you just go replace that shingle. But if you're having your whole roof done, which I would say is reconstructed, you would have, I think it belongs in there.
Well, let's think about what this means practically. In our instance, where is a non-conforming use building currently? Or what would become a non-conforming use building with the changes to the zoning code?
Maybe one that's closer to the property line than the setbacks allows now.
The size of a shack in the backyard.
Well, that's not a non-conforming use. You know, there's setback variances. You know, this is like saying a commercial building in a residential area. And what that paragraph suggests, if you make a big change to this building, it better become a conforming use. It sort of loses its grandfather ability to be a non-conforming use.
Right, and I think what you're saying in the parallel is big change, that's the same as reconstruction versus repair.
Yeah, and you know, the question is practically, how would it apply in our community?
Well, I mean, if you actually had something that was built, like right now, most of your buildings are non-conforming use, the people live in, by today's standards.
Well, it's not a non-conforming use. It may not be up to the current building code, but it's still, you know, a residential building in a residential.
Right, but if you have, like, say, a little small detached garage in the backyard, and it's tilted, and you got to sit there and have to do something with it. You just can't sit there and take it down, or cosmetically take it down and put it back up again without conforming to the codes of today.
Right.
Right, and that's what we want. We want people to conform with the codes of today.
Exactly.
I do at least.
Yes.
Right, but if they can take, attach a cable to it and straighten it by pulling it over a little bit.
No, then it's up to the building officials, if they're going around, especially for a small area like this, if they're seeing things like that, they have to address it. And that's where you get your letter saying, hey, there's something wrong here.
Sure.
You're going to have to sit there and say what you're going to do to take care of this.
I don't have a problem with this at all, because I think there's a difference between repair and reconstruction. You know, if it's minor cosmetic stuff, I don't see it affecting.
Yeah, because if you put vinyl siding around something you have wood on, normally nobody gets a permit for that. I mean, downtown, they want you to get a permit for putting gutters up.
Well, but on the A3.A, it says you may only improve or repair one time.
Hmm.
And I think you should be,
Choose it wisely.
I think it,
I think you should be allowed to repair.
Oh,
X amount of
anytime,
times.
yeah, anytime, yeah.
I
I think
think
it
this-
goes back to the mayor's point, is that it's, if it's a non-conforming use.
Yeah, it's like putting a Band-Aid over something, over a big cut.
So we're gonna let you do it one time, after that, you lose you're non-conforming, you need to become conforming.
Well, I mean, this stuff didn't come out of the clear blue sky, but I think, to satisfy us all that we're on firm ground with this, you might want to consult, if you would be so kind, Mr. Kinski and Mr. Ford, regarding the state of case law, as far as this non-conforming uses goes. I think that's probably worthwhile. I don't think, just created that out of the whole
No,
cloth.
that's pretty typical, in fact, that's
So-
pretty lenient for telling you at 25%. Okay.
Okay. Bud, have we gotten there yet, buddy?
I can't find anything, here's all I can find. I'm getting tired of looking.
He's
What are
missing
our
so
current
much.
regulations about screening garbage cans?
Well, there wasn't, I couldn't find anything specifically about screening garbage cans.
I don't know that we have
Section-
anything, have we?
What is our section 939, is that?
I thought they weren't allowed to be visible from the street.
And
Right.
wasn't that a change we just made?
Or is that,
Pretty
that's,
recently?
That might be an ordinance that's not part of the zoning code.
that, yeah, that,
Here's all I could find.
in the
Under
zoning. code.
utility screening, utility screens may be placed in front or side yards subject to the following regulations. Utility screens shall not extend more than 4 feet from the building wall and no more than 8 feet in length parallel to the building and no more than 4 feet in height. I haven't found anything regarding garbage or screening.
Okay,
garbage.
that may be in
It's an
the
ordinance.
criminal ordinance. That may be in a criminal ordinance.
Well, I made some reference in here to section 8029. But we don't have a section 8, I'm assuming that's what 8029 is.
No, we don't have any 4-digit numbers.
They define garbage.
That'd be-
For
that'd
some
be-
reason, they passed an ordinance defining rubbish.
That would be probably the Ohio Revised Code. At 8029, a 4-digit reference is probably the ORC.
I couldn't find.
All right, that's another piece for next time, is to figure out what our garbage regulations are. Is there anything else pressing at this moment, ladies and gentlemen? Greg is suspiciously silent. Madame?
Just had one more thing that I wanted to bring up today.
Please.
Okay. It was about the, vegetables, brought up about the, State Department of Agriculture, that says that any herb is a vegetable, it's as defined as that. So if we don't want a particular vegetable to grow like corn, I don't know if it's a particular way to.
The row crop part of the,
Mhm. Correct.
the urban ag section, back to urban ag.
I think it's 9.2. On page 54. Because that would exclude even decorative things like cabbage, it could be the sweet potato vines, it could be any kind of herbs that is used,
How about nitrogen?
It doesn't. Farming of fruits.
farming of fruits, vegetables, and other plant
Be
products.
permitted use in rear yards. So,
There's a lot of people that have it in the front.
well,
Anybody in this room?
Have the vegetables in the front?
my wife
Consider
plants
vegetable.
decorative kale.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
decorative cabbage, decorative kale in the front yard.
Sweet potato
That's
vines,
been annoying for me for years.
Yeah, well, and I've got a rosemary bush in the side yard that's that tall.
It's a good year for raspberries.
What if we even put parameters on it? It's gotta be-
but if we put that
But
there, according to
isn't
the.
the difference though, when it says farming
Yeah.
of fruits and
Row
vegetables?
crops, that kind of thing is, I think, what we intended to not have, rows of corn and.
Yeah, somebody plant rows of soybeans.
Well, and
or-
also most, I guess if you have a tomato plant.
What does that couple have right there in Gambier
They
Circle on the
have,
left?
they have people that have the tomatoes that are now, growing upside down and.
Yeah,
And you start putting that in there, and somebody's going to come in there and say, so-and-so has this in the front, and
So
it's,
you have to come and get a variance to grow your.
oh, come on,
That's-
oh,
that's-
come on.
What
that's-
if we
come
put
on.
parameters on it, how far in the yard, stuff like that, I don't know. I'll tell you, my mom lives on the north side, her neighbor, next door neighbor, entire front yard is a big, everything's planted there. Has the old pie pans to keep, the deer away and stuff like that. And you walk down the street and it's not attractive.
That's awesome.
And it's a nice street,
For
it's
them.
a really nice street. But I think that's the intention, is to avoid.
That takes gall, doesn't it?
Is the difference when those plants are grown for ornament, like the sweet potato?
Well, how do we put that? Because if we put it for ornament.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
I'm giving this to, Yvonne to dig into a little bit. You don't have enough to do you? Okay, good. Well, we don't want to see you bored. We want to keep you.
He's gonna pass on to Connie.
Yeah.
One more thing, I did find a definition, getting back to the
Yeah,
screening.
for the screening for the garbage.
And their definitions, utility screening is defined as screening such utility items as large exterior gas and electric meter installations, rubbish barrels, hose reels, replacement of such items as in unavoidably conspicuous or otherwise unsightly locations. So that utility fencing requirement
That's what that utility fence is for, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay, it's for screening stuff that you don't want people to see, but there's no requirement to screen, at least that we found, right? Okay, that's something we have to look
We
into.
still don't know whether you can, because it's like 4.5, the new code is 4.5 for
Right.
garbage in, but it doesn't say that you can't put it on the side.
No, it doesn't.
The code pertains to front, but there's really a conflict between garbage cans on the side of the screening versus.
And whether or not they are required to be screened.
Well, I mean, one's 4.5 and one's 4.
Well, the old code says 4.
I take offense to that.
The
Well,
new
I'm
code
saying the
says
new code says
4.5.
garbage can screening in the front is okay at 4.5.
Right.
It doesn't say that you can put it on the side, and if you put it on the side, can you only do 4?
Well, that's where we have to
Is
dig
that on
into
your
the
list?
criminal code, figure out what that's on the list to figure out. All right, bit by bit.
Can I say one more thing, sir?
Sure.
Just going back to the beginning of times here, on the
Beginning of
land,
times.
the land use law, this was also, sent to attorneys for CFPs for
Right.
6 credits. If we're still interested, perhaps we can suggest, Mr. Forbes, if he needs, 6 credits for the license or something, perhaps to attend this for us.
You gonna talk to him anyway?
If we don't get charged
Right.
for it.
Yeah, if he gets credit, you don't charge.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
want a bill for it.
As long as it's
No
not.
more hours.
You can
About
give us a
8,000.
He's gonna get a couple
report.
grand for going to
You can do
school.
all right.
Yeah,
Ladies and
that's the
gentlemen,
question.
I think we
can
degenerate it into a free-for-all. And, it's always been my firm belief that after about 90 minutes, adults can't sit still anymore. We've gone for a 90 plus a 55. So, at this point, I'd be pleased to adjourn. If there's no argument, we stand adjourned.
We're in free fall.
Yay.
What do we do with this?
Great
recording?
call on the cookies, that was perfect.
Yeah, that came in handy.
You can leave it there, or she'll get
I
it.
was so proud of myself.
Thank you.
I took care of it, swam this afternoon, it was glorious. I didn't know I should go.
You know, the truck issue. How long
You
is
did,
the
thanks.
parking space on the street?
What's left of it?
I was just trying to look it up.
No, length of it. How long?
That's in our current ordinances.
If it's
Yeah.
20 feet, which is a lot of times the standard,
Get a size, I mean.
Yeah.
and you have an ordinance where you're not allowed to occupy 2 spaces at once, then you've basically taken care of your truck size for parking
Anyway,
on the
I
street.
got a number.
Well, let me ask you that,
Maybe
like
your
the
age
Hummer
or-
truck.
I thought there was
Would you
3, but
consider
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
need one, so just
So,
Well, that's what you need to check,
Thank you
is that
very
the
much.
parking spaces are twenty long on the street and they're marked.
The only thing I'm wondering.
All right, everyone have a good evening.
Parking, the only way they can park is on the street, and they have one of those 22
next
feet plumber
meeting will be
vans.
Have you ever had the pretzel?
But I mean, it does their job. I mean,
Just wonder about my next door neighbor's kids.
That's a,
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah.
that's a different
well,
thing.
no, but they stop zoning, because you can't take a flatbed. I mean, you can look at it either way. I'm just wondering what you do for someone, that's their job and this is their truck. They're not gonna chop 2 feet off their truck
Yeah,
or buy another vehicle. I don't know. I mean, that's.
not in this day and age when the economy is the way it is.
Yeah.
My neighbor
Yeah.
brings his Time Warner truck home, he parks in his driveway every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all.
It
It's a
doesn't
big
bother
truck.
me either.
Yeah, but then the guy that's got a big, 20-foot tall garbage collection truck sitting in front of his house, that people will probably complain
Yeah,
about.
and I'm not sure you could get a variance for that either, for the street.
You
parking.
can't, no, you can't. It's that, the rule is the rule unless you provide some kind of parking somewhere for
Right.
a larger.
I mean, that's a good way, it's almost let the street laws be the street
Well,
laws.
it's not just length either, it's width. Some of these streets, you put a vehicle that's 8, 9, 10 feet wide in there, and
Yeah.
you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's good.
Yeah, what is the standard parking space out there, and we're not allowed to occupy more than one.
And a parking space is about 8 feet, I think.